Welcome to Does It Matter? Shit stirrer question number one. When your employers and the people you work for are making $100 an hour, 120, 140, 150 or more an hour, have you ever wondered why you only get 25 to 30? That's most people. Have you ever wondered why you're doing most of the work? You're bearing by far most of the risk and consequence. You're giving up a limited, exhaustible supply resource, which is time. You'll never get it back. You're taking all the risks, or at least the majority of them, but your employer is getting most of the money. We have gotten too used to that. Now, I have no problem with capitalism, and I have no problem with people making profit. However, is it reasonable to propose that people working should receive a minimum, a rock bottom bare minimum of 50 to 60% of the wealth generated through their actions? If they're paid $100 an hour, the workers should get 50 or 60 bucks an hour, not 25 to 30 odd. You're doing most of the work. You're bearing most of the consequences of those actions, and yet other people get to keep most of the cream. Think about it. Is that right? Do you want that world for your future? Do you want that world for your children and your grandkids? Do you want to live in a world where people can just reach into your pocket and take out most of the wealth you're generating and hand you back some crumbs? I want you to think of it this way. You went to a tree and you picked 10 apples off the tree. Modern 21st century capitalism, for most people, not for high-level execs and sort of the top 20%, but for 80% of us, that someone else who commissioned you to pick those apples, takes 7 to 8 of those apples away and keeps them all. And they can talk about distribution, they can talk about all kinds of things, but we all know that they write the logistical chains are massive tax write-offs. We all know that they capitalise on their infrastructure in a multiple variety of ways to generate multiple revenue streams. So costs for a company are not costs for a sole proprietor or an individual like us, not even slightly. They can write so much off on tax, it's not funny. They can capitalise their infrastructure to generate more income from the same infrastructure over and over again. You and I can't do that. So what's happening? Why are they keeping so much of the money? Why did the government let them? Why did the government from the mid-90s to the noughties allow the vast lion's share of commissions for contracted work to become from a 10, 15, 20 bucks a shift to most of what is earned per hour? I mean, that's a colossal order of magnitude change in how the wealth is distributed. And we saw it happen from the 90s into the noughties in the space of a decade and a half. Without a whisper, without a squeak from anyone, because they snuck it in under the guise of lots and lots of cheap credit. Lots of cheap credit and a massive consumer item boom. Cheap TVs, cheap electronics, cheap leisure goods, cheaper holidays. So everyone went, whoa, this is awesome. Yeah, they didn't see what they were paying, which was far more than what they were getting. We're beginning to realise that now, but it's a little late. Why are you not getting at least half of the wealth that you generate? Why are they taking so much? And why does the government let them do it? Why did the government change policy in the 90s and allow corporations through globalization to take so much more of the largesse? Why? Does it help society? No, it actually concentrates wealth in hedge funds. It concentrates the greatest shift in economic wealth in history upwards. That's a fact. It's not theory. I'm not talking out my ass. It's a fact that's happened. It's continuing to happen. More and more wealth is being concentrated, moving from the lower echelons of the economy to the upper echelons, and it stays there. You know? Rich people don't circulate the money like they used to. They don't. They hoard it. They put it into safe capital ventures. They put it into where it's making them more money. And in many cases, it's not doing much for most of us. Hedge funds are useless to anyone but the rich. So no, they're not helping us at all. They're actually crippling us, turning us into renters from owners. Less and less Australians and less people all over the world are owning homes, are having to rent more. We're being pushed back from ownership of anything. Another question we should be asking, why? And who is allowing this? Why are our governments allowing this to happen? We need to ask questions. We need to start asking fundamental questions. Instead of worrying about fucking pronouns, instead of arguing about whose toilets we use, just let people use fucking toilets. Okay? Build more toilets, whatever the solution has to be. Let's get lateral. But these are not important issues. Leave people alone, let them live the way they want. I don't care. And let's talk about actual real issues. Food on the table, how much tax we're paying, what we're getting for the tax we're paying, whether our wages are representative of the actual productivity that we're creating, where are our jobs going to be in 10 or 15 years' time, because a lot of them will be gone. That's automation and AI. We have to ask the right questions. I'm going to be doing a series of podcasts by myself and with others, stirring as much shit up as possible about this. We need people to think. We need people to get angry. You need to be somewhat disturbed by this. This is where you need to be disturbed. This is where you need to take some action. All right? Because if we continue to allow our trousers to be pulled down and allow ourselves to be sodomized by the system, and we are, it won't stop. And if you want yourself, your children and grandchildren to be eternal bitches for the rich oligarchs, because that's been most of human history. We had a little space after World War II where things were pretty cool. And now it's getting wound back. It's getting wound back. Authoritarian creep is well and truly in place. Condescending authoritarian governments, nanny states, and corporate overreach left, right and centre. Corporates owning our governments, owning our representatives. And policy that doesn't even remotely reflect what most of us need. Let's start asking the right questions. Oos.